Okay, welcome MegaWhale team to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Wanchain again. It's been a while since we've done a Wanchain video, so I wanted to quickly go over a few things and just keep you guys updated with what's happening, particularly in the recent events of Bitcoin's drop down from 51,000. So we'll get straight into the video. We did a video about 3 weeks ago talking about where we think Wanchain will be heading, more to the upside. But today we're going to be focusing more on the short term and what we think is going to happen in the next few days and next few weeks, and what we need to see to actually, basically what we need to see happen, should I say, for Wanchain to make any substantial moves in either direction. So just to clarify what we're seeing here, is we're seeing a really big pen formation. Obviously we're still seeing that 2018 data point, that all-time high, acting as a long-term resistance. We can see it touched at 2018. It's acted as resistance in April, as well as in May, and even to more recent dates, it acted as a resistance in November and early December, and even up until the 25th of December. So that 2018 all-time high descending resistance line over here has been a long-standing resistance line for, let's take a look. It's been it's been 1,300 plus days. Absolutely insane. That is probably the longest resistance I've seen on a crypto chart for a very long time. I can't think of another one that's been longer than that. It's unreal. But with saying that, it just goes to show how strong this resistance zone is, particularly, and how difficult it's going to be for Wanchain to break it. But it goes to say that if we do flip to the upside and get a daily candle close above this trend line, we will expect huge upward movements, guys. We're going to expect a massive push upwards. And I don't want to sound like a broken record saying Wanchain is going to do really well. And I haven't spoken about Wanchain much, and it doesn't mean I'm not a fan of it. I still love Wanchain. I still think they're doing great things. I just think right now, particularly looking at Bitcoin, we'll take a look at Bitcoin real quickly, is we had that drop down. We said we're going to come in down to about 46,000. Now is not the time to be investing in altcoins too heavy. I think now's the time to be patient. We're waiting for a we're waiting for any significant move as an indicator for us to get back into the market and heavily invest it again. But for now, we're kind of just being patient and waiting. And thankfully, so we didn't FOMO in when Bitcoin was at our resistance. A lot of people FOMO'd into the market, and I know all the big Twitter accounts are telling people, oh, we're bullish again, but look what happened. So it just goes to show, you don't follow the pack. Do what other people aren't doing, and that's how you win in crypto. Anyway, luckily we predicted that, saved ourselves like a lot of money there without that we would have probably lost if we were in the market. And we're seeing a little bit of a bounce on Bitcoin. I don't want to go into Bitcoin too much today. We've already talked about it. If you want to find out what we thought about Bitcoin's recent move, go ahead and check out our last video. Anyway, we'll get back to Wanchain. Yeah. So what I was saying in the last time we did a video on Wanchain, I'm looking for a break and close above this trend line. If we can see something like this, a nice daily candle close and retest, that would be very bullish. And I would be looking to buy. I'm currently not holding any Wanchain, but are we looking to buy a huge amount, 100,000 plus coins when we get a break of that trend line? Alternatively, we do have this strong long-term support line, which we are very well respecting. We have basically seen this act as a support now for, let's have a look, about half that time, 660 days, so about half the entire time that resistance line has been a resistance. So very strong support. We are condensing, we are consolidating between these 2 points. The range is dropping day by day. Currently, the range is about -24% downwards, and have a look, 30% upwards. But day by day, this range is consolidating, and by the 15th or 20th of January, it's going to only be an 8% range. So we don't have a lot of time here. Wanchain is going to be bouncing between and we are waiting for that directional move. Let's just zoom out a little bit. I know I said in my last video, price target for Wanchain, very, very long term, is $28. And I think that was based off our ICX fractal and what would happen if Wanchain follows suit with what ICX is doing price-wise. $28 would be a very viable target. I think we're speaking more realistically in the short term. There are critical levels we do need to flip for Wanchain to be bullish again. Let's just map those out on the chart for you now. We're going to head to a 3-day chart. It's going to be a little bit easier to pinpoint the locations of these resistances. But obviously, we're going to map in the first one, which is that $1 range. And, you know, for those of you who know Wanchain, who have been in Wanchain for a while, you guys know how much of an absolute struggle that $1 range has been for Wanchain. You know, every single time we seem to break above it, we just drop below. And it's almost been to the point at which it's been a joke. It's been really annoying for everyone in it. And it's been upsetting to see, especially with these two candles here. You know, myself and a lot of people included were thinking this was the big break. This is it. This is where Wanchain is gonna go up. But you know, look at this, just drop straight away, drop back down. And you know, I'm not gonna say I'm not disappointed. I am disappointed in Wanchain. I definitely don't think it's tapped into its potential. And I don't want to say anything too negative, but I'm slightly concerned that if they don't pick up the pace, or if anything, you know, I know people say marketing is a big thing, but like, if they don't really step it up, I feel like Wanchain is going to get so far, it's going to fall so far behind that people are just going to lose interest. And we're starting to see that slowly, but I don't think it's got to the point where all hope is lost. And until that point, Wanchain's got enormous potential, enormous potential. You know, there's other few channels that I know, you know, Crypto Rain and Wolves of Crypto, and Dub Digital. You know, we're all a fan for Wanchain for a reason. You know, we're not just investing and throwing our money at it for no point or no reason. You know, we're all long-term investors. We've all made significant amount of money in the crypto market and the general stock market as well, and we're all very experienced. You know, we know what we're doing. We wouldn't be throwing money at something we don't believe in or we don't think's got potential. The reality of the fact is, Wanchain is amazing risk-reward potential. Its upside is absolutely phenomenal. It's huge compared to that downside potential. So that is why we believe Wanchain is a great investment. We're talking price-wise, but taking a look at that short-term, guys, we're looking at this 200-day moving average. I don't know why I have it on blue. I'm going to change it back to my default colors. So we've got it on orange. It is acting as a little bit of support. Every single time we've broken below that 200-day moving average, we do see a little bit of dip. On that 3-day chart, we can see here, more recently here, and where do we see it's going to come down to? Well, the most logical explanation for what would happen if we drop below that will be a retest of this trend line and maybe a candle below. So I would be placing buy orders for Wanchain just slightly below. I'd say anywhere between 60 cents to 65 cents. I'd be looking to scoop some Wanchain up, obviously with a tight stop loss. Just in case we do get a drop down. I've said it before, if we do go into a bear market, we can see Bitcoin one more time over here. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see it. If we follow and break down this long-term trend line, all altcoins will follow suit. It doesn't matter the fundamentals, it doesn't matter how great the coin is. If we go into a bear market, every single altcoin will follow suit and drop down, including Wanchain. So that's where we're at today. Let's get started into the analysis. It's gonna be a longer video. Sorry about that, guys, but there's a lot to cover. We're gonna talk about what will happen if we go into a bear market. Where do we see the price going? Then from there we'll cover what do we see happening if we go into a bull market, and then after that we'll zoom in onto the short time frame and have a look at what we think is going to happen in the immediate term or the near future. All right, so let's talk about the bear market scenario first, because that is something to keep in mind, and obviously no one wants to see it, but it's a very real possibility right now of the market. I'm not going to go into the traditional stock market, but if we look at the Fed's increasing interest rates, they're very, very bearish for Bitcoin and the crypto market in general, because there's less credit money to be invested. Anyway, let's get into it. So we're going to go zoom back to a 1-day chart to look at this, and we're going to take a look at our chart real quickly. We're just going to pinpoint in our support and resistance lines. Now I am going to do a video. I will do a video on how to map out support and resistance lines more accurately, or for those of you who don't know how to do it, I'm going to map it out. But generally, when we're doing support and resistance line, there's two ways you can do it. You can bring up a volume profile, and this can show you periods of history where buying volume was elevated, and also periods where buying volume was significantly lower, also known as gaps. And those areas where the buy volume is generally higher is an area of support. Now, these are great to identify support zones, but if we're looking at individual horizontal support lines, they're not going to be as accurate. So obviously that $1, if we go back to the 3-day, so we'll go back to the 3-day, that $1 range is a very clear resistance because we've had a lot of candles push above here, and we've had pretty much no candles close. So we can see all these wicks above, all right, even here, and basically no candles closing. All right, we can see even acted as a temporary daily support, and in this range acting as support and resistance, and finally it lost that dollar and crashed. So that is how we know that $1 is a huge resistance. So we're gonna bring it back up. We're just gonna input the very basic, very easy ones in. The next one would be our $2.68 range. Obviously we had our resistance up here, and more recently at our all-time high in May, we had our resistance there. So those are the first two easy ones. We're not going to zoom in too much higher, but obviously we're just going to input our resistance at, we'll go psychological $10, perfect. And we're not going to worry about the rest in here. We don't have enough data, there's pretty much no data. And then zooming back down, where's our next resistance? Well, we can put a wick right at the top of this one here, and we had that data point not only on the 7th of September, we also got on the 14th of May, we got a retest here on the 16th of May, and we have a little bit of support and resistance, particularly resistance between August to September in 2018. So these are our critical resistance zones moving upwards. Moving downwards, we obviously have that $1 zone. We have our support zone around here at 60 cents, and I said 60 cents is a good buy area. It is more of a range. The 60-cent zone is a zone. In fact, it is this zone here. 55 cents to 60 cents is going to be a buying zone. All right, if we drop below, this is what I'm talking about now, the bearish scenario. If we drop below this zone here, all right, the 60 to 55 cent zone, we really don't have a lot of support down here, and it's hard to tell how low Wanchain could go. You know, obviously we have a little bit of support down at 31 cents. We have a little bit of support, I think it was around 41 cent, 42.5 cents. And obviously I don't really want to take in consideration anything too much lower than that, but the worst case scenario, and I don't think this is a possibility, but if we do enter a bear market, we could definitely see a bleed down to this zone before we come back up. That would be our bearish, absolute worst case bearish scenario, and I would hate to see this happen to Wanchain. You know, there's not a lot of attention on Wanchain, and it seems to be every single time it starts picking up a little bit of attention, it just crashes or the market turns around. It's really unlucky. Every single time Wanchain picks up a little bit of attention, the market just for some reason absolutely spins around and crashes, but you know, that's just how it is sometimes. Anyway, let's talk about our upward movement. Now we did cover this in the last video, but I just want to go over it again. So the upward movement would be, the first target to break would be this downward resistance zone. If we do get a break on this resistance zone, that is where I will enter. I'll be entering on that retest with a tight stop loss just underneath. So something like this. Let me show you an example. All right, something like that. Obviously, I don't care about where the target is. It's going to be much higher. We'll say $1, for example. All right, that would be a perfect trade. Wait for the breakout, catch a retest, stop loss below, and then we've got our long target up. All right. So that is the first step. We do need to get above here. Once we get above here, the dollar target is the next target. This is a very critical zone to break. We can obviously drop back down from there, or we can push up. But once we break a dollar and we get that daily close above $1, I'm very confident that we will not see lower than $1 again on Wanchain. Not for a while at least, if ever. So we do need to push up, we do need to break that. And if we break $1, we'll definitely head higher, and we can definitely see a push upwards from $1 to $1.30, maybe find a little bit of resistance here like we have in the past. And then from here, we got a huge gap to close to $2.68. If we break $2.68, we will most likely have a little bit of support resistance zone over here, consolidation, and then a push upwards. And this could easily push us up closer to that 2018 all-time high. So in essence, I'm definitely not bearish on Wanchain. I'm not bullish yet. I'm waiting for that break of that resistance. As soon as we break the resistance, all lights are green. We're going to jump in the market. We're going to capitalize on it. But we are keeping in mind Bitcoin. We want to see a push over $53,000 in a daily close to confirm a move upwards. And if we get that swing upwards, we're going to see altcoins really rally, guys, because we look at Bitcoin dominance dropping, total market cap kind of like stabilizing. We will definitely see altcoins rally. And I feel like a lot of money is going to flow into these 2018, 2017 altcoins that haven't moved much, because we can see the other coins like Solana and CHR and Luna at 40 billion market cap. These coins aren't going to 2x from here. You know, at most you probably get another 30-40% from them. So people are going to be looking at coins that have not moved, that are still on the ground, with great fundamentals, and this is one of them. Okay guys, let's dive into some of the technicals. So we're just going to remove these two off the chart for a second. Let's bring up our Ichimoku cloud. We can see that we're still under the Ichimoku cloud. We did have a breakout of the red cloud over here, as well as a break of the conversion line, which sent us up. And we're currently still under that conversion line baseline and a red cloud, which is suggesting we are in due for more consolidation, which reinstates or reinforces what these trend lines are telling us, which is we're going to be consolidating between this range until we make a significant move in either direction. So let's bring it to the 3-day chart. Hopefully we can see something a little bit different. Again, not much. Huge red cloud rejection, still underneath the clouds and pushing on that trend line. We're going to go a shorter time frame now, maybe 12 hours to take a look. And you can see we're still currently finding rejection or resistance on that cloud, which could very well push us lower. Obviously, the larger the cloud, the harder it is to break up, or the more resistance there is to push through. It's very, very unlikely we're just going to have a huge green candle up to $1. It seems to be a lot of resistance on that time frame, and we can see a similar thing happen on that 4 hours. So the short term, what I would expect based off the Ichimoku cloud is that we have a little bit of consolidation. Maybe we come down and retest 65 cents. It'd be quite shocking to see a huge push up to 83 cents, although we do have to keep in mind Wanchain has been seeming to move quite sporadically in the last few weeks with these huge random candles out of nowhere that last for a few minutes and then just crash back down. I'm not too sure what's going on. I do know there's a lot of bots trading Wanchain, and I definitely think there's something suspicious going on behind the scenes, because I watch the order books daily, and when I see stuff like that, I see ridiculously high volumes of US dollars being placed in the order books of Wanchain. I'm talking millions of dollars popping up on the order books in splits of seconds to push the prices up and then just disappear. It's honestly something I've never seen before. It's called spoofing the market. But I don't know why they're doing it to Wanchain. I don't know who's doing it to Wanchain. I don't want to name and shame anyone. I don't want to put anyone's name out there or tell you what I think, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. There is a hell of a lot of manipulation going on, particularly for Wanchain, and we do need to be cautious. But you also need to ask yourself the question, why would anyone want to manipulate it? And who benefits from the manipulation? It's definitely not the retail investors. Remember that. Retail investors do not benefit from the price going down. Very small percentage of retail investors actually know how to properly short a market and have the risk capabilities to manage short positions. So I think that's food for thought. Think about it. If you've got any ideas who's doing it, let me know. Obviously, bull market support band, we're still under, or still getting resistance. Again, confirming that we push further downwards or consolidate. We don't have a lot of indicators suggesting that we move up. Our Cypher B just printed a red dot. We're not quite down below those lows that we would like to see. We'd like to see a green dot print on the 4 or 5 day chart, but it is suggesting we still have a little bit of movement to go. Again, all the indicators that we're looking at here, I'm just going to skim through them because they're all kind of telling us exactly the same thing. They're all just suggesting that we are going to be consolidating or we're moving downwards of Bitcoin. You look at the MACD and RSI, we're going to go to a 3-day chart here. Yeah, so it would appear that we have a little bit of converging going upwards, but it's not strong. This could easily converge back downwards. We go to a larger time frame. It is already, the RSI is already heading back down. We would like to see a bottom out. Obviously, we can't go, if we go much lower than 40, that would be a that would be basically bear market. We haven't seen anything under 40 besides the times of being in very low bear market zones over here, or bear market. We've been under 40, and then obviously we had that retest on 40, which sent us up. So best case scenario, we hold above 40. If we drop below the 40, we're going to obviously be dropping this resistance line too and heading down. But I didn't want to go over too much of the technicals actually today. More or less a market pattern of what I expect to happen, because as you can see, all the technicals are pretty much pointing in the same direction. They're pretty much telling us the same thing, which is consolidation, further movement sideways, or just bouncing between that range, and obviously worst case scenario, crashing. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was a talking heavy video today. We just wanted to cover a lot of things and keep you guys updated with what's happening. If you've got any questions, make sure to leave them below. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Obviously subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the link to our Telegram discussion in the description below. I will see you in the next video.